this off. Let me just turn on the recording. Alrighty, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining us today for Season 1 Town Hall. We are post AxieCon, where Lunasians gathered and we crowned our first Origins champion and wrapped up an amazing journey for V2. Congrats to Sebastian for winning in true V2 fashion with an amazing crit, and congratulations to 1437 for being crowned the first Origins World Champion after an amazing comeback. And great job to all the other competitors who fought hard um, over those few days. Extremely exciting, and I, for one, can say that I'm extremely bullish for the future of Axie Esports, especially after the esports grant announcement, with over $2 million up for grabs in tournaments and invitationals from Q4 2022 to Q2 in 2023. Everything is full steam ahead as the team continues to push and build. Today's town hall will be a little different. We have Philip, and Vince, who will share some feedback and some information if they would like on their end. But mostly, we would like to open it up to the community for questions and be able to just chat, get your experience, and be able to talk with you guys. So we're looking forward to hearing from you guys. And do not be nervous to raise your hand and come up on stage. And if Philip is back, I'll go ahead and allow Philip to start.
Yeah, so this is Philip. For those who don't know, I lead games here at Sky Mavis, and excited to chat with everyone today about Origins now, specifically with the S. Everything new with season one and the thinking there, and yeah, the AxieCon was insane. I cannot find the words to describe the experience. Yeah, the esports were electric. I didn't know what was going to happen every match. There were crazy things happening, and yeah, with the comebacks and both of them going to the full series. Game 7, Game 5. Yeah, the future is bright for Origins for sure, especially on the esports area. And yeah, this is just the beginning. There's still so much more to do. Season one is here, and we wanted to get it out as soon as possible because we do have other features we want to get out as well, for season two and beyond. So kind of making sure we get on the right cadence and moving things forward. And not everything is perfect and exactly as we'd like, but yeah, we went with what we saw as the best path to kind of get us to the game to a good place. And yeah, I'll pass it to, I guess, Vince to do a quick intro.
Yeah, thank you. Yo, guys. So this is Zoser, aka Vince. What Phil said, AxieCon was amazing. It was electric. I got to speak for the first time, and that was really cool. I did reveal our contest feature, so if you guys didn't catch it, make sure to go watch it or at least research it because that is coming Q4 2022. I'm really excited. It should be a game changer. And yeah, the esports was electric. It made me super bullish about everything. I mean, it was kind of emotional being there. There was just a very special energy in that room, and I went to Ziori afterwards, and I said, the gods have blessed esports because you couldn't draw it up any better. Like it's been mentioned, going to Game 7, there was a crit. It went to Blood Moon, and then on Origins, we saw it go to Game 5 with Spam and Rice against 1437. And if you guys don't know the narrative, I mean, they battled out the very last hour of the season, I heard. So it was super cool. But yeah, now we're moved on to season one. We got a lot of exciting things coming, obviously, now and in future seasons. And yeah, I'm excited to jump into this.
Cool. Yes, it was amazing. Some amazing battles that we got to. Well, I got to personally watch live, from my own home because I wasn't able to attend like a lot of many other amazing community members. So we can go ahead and open it up for questions. And to the best of our abilities, we'll be able to see if we can answer those for you guys.
And if we don't have a question right away, I can jump in with something that I want to just tackle really early because I know it's going to come up. And if it doesn't come up, I know somebody wants to ask it. I promise you, because it's the hot buzz on Twitter right now. It's the elephant in the room. It is the entire thing around season one balancing. So I just want to give a few of my comments around that. Um, so I want to kind of draw you guys the picture of kind of how this looks. So we committed to a season 1 date, right? That we want to announce at AxieCon. So we knew going into AxieCon when season 1 was going to be. So we also knew there would be essentially no off season. But we weren't worried about this because the plan was truly that we're not going to do any balancing between season 0 and season 1. That was just how it was going to be. And we also knew we weren't going to do any season 1 mid balancing. That was another important thing to us. So we were working at all these variables, and then the BYOD tournament happens, and we're like, oh, so this is what the current patch looks like with everything unlocked. It's literally a rage debuff AOE show. I mean, and I spent a lot of time watching all the Origins games. Like I was missing a lot of the speakers, unfortunately, because I was just hanging out by the Origins guys watching, and it was so many people using the AOE, using the debuff. And I still think we were planning to not do any changes, but just after looking at it and how how much it was, and talking to some of the top players that were using all the runes and charms, it was like, now we have to do a little something about this just to open it up. It's going to be a 60-day season, and we want to make sure that as people reach the top level or get their mystics and whatever, that it's not just going to be all rage debuff AOE. So we did decide to do a very small balancing patch, and the key being small because again we did not want to do a mid-season balance patch. So that's why it's so small right now. But I do want to reinforce that we plan to do aggressive, or potentially I should say aggressive balancing, reworks, changes, etc. during off seasons. That's what off seasons are for. So let's look forward to those and just be aware of that. And we intend really not to do any mid-season balance changes in the future. So just keep all that in mind. And then another thing is the off seasons should be longer than 28 days. Or no, should be longer than they are now. They should be around 28 days. So we had a very short off season, but in the future, look for longer off seasons with more aggressive changes. So I just want to get that off the table.
Yes, indeed. That is the hot topic going around right now. Was the balance change? You guys have any questions or thoughts on that? Feel free to raise your hand, um, and join us here on stage. We do have. Hi, welcome. I think you're muted, brother.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, it's about the balancing patch. So, I guess the disappointment comes from the community expecting to have a lot of changes because it's been hyped that in 2 weeks they will do balancing changes, and then the community council members were announced. So, really expect that there's going to be a lot of changes. And then also, it feels like there's a lot of cards that it can easily be added to that balancing patch. For instance, the I've been tweeting this about this in Twitter quite a lot. For example, the sleepless and days compared to confusion and confuse. That's really not acceptable because they're both the same cards actually, and then the other one is stronger, really stronger than the other one. And then, for example, the pangolin, it's the go-to tanks right now. So why is it can easily be trimmed down to 10%, 12%, but yeah, it's not changed. And then also the rage cleansing with the confidence really overpowered, I think, because it gives cleanse, then can easily give rage stacks. And then also the Shiba, the 50%, 75% threshold is really quite high, yeah, to trigger. So I think those changes I think they should really be added to the balancing patch and can easily be done, but I don't know why they're missed out.
Mhm. So you touched on like four things. It sounds like the confusion, the pangolin, the confidence debuff thing, which I think I just learned about today.
Yes,
Even that might be more of a bug, by the way. But the pangolin you're talking about, pangolin scale the rune, right?
yes, yeah,
Okay. So the thing I want to say is, so as for the confusion card on the plant you're talking about, I think that's going to be one of the potential like big things we look at in the off season, right? And again, Phil has already said this, and I think sort of we're all aware. Like season one's not perfect, right? It's out the door. It's shipped, and we're going to make what we can with it. And from this point on, you guys know once we launch the patch, don't expect any more balance changes. So at least everyone's under the same fair premise and has access to the marketplace and can build around what they know exists. But I think confusion is one of those that could be looked at for sure as part of a bulk package in the next off season. Now, pangolin scale is kind of a tricky one because it was something that was potentially going to be changed, and that's where the choice box comes in. So at crafting level 5, we gave every player a rare rune of their choice on the choice box. Now, already a lot of players have claimed that choice box, and many more even will in the next week before the patch goes live or whenever that is next week. And so one of my main concerns was sort of a fairness factor of when players are selecting the rare rune of their choice, they need to have all the information available because you can only make that choice once. So if you make that choice and you did decide to take pangolin scale and then we nerfed it, that would be a very feels bad choice and you wouldn't be able to undo that. Or, maybe you didn't grab Pango because of a certain thing. So it wasn't all the information I don't feel like was fair. And so if we nerfed pangolin scale, I feel like we would have to pretty much compensate every person a rare rune choice box. And so instead of doing that, I said I thought it would be better. And I was telling the game designers, let's not touch pangolin scale right now. Too many people have had this influence their decision and their choice of rare rune, and then that'll be packaged sort of into the off season and something we look at. Now the confidence debuff thing, I just learned about that I think like an hour ago from Spam and Rice. I wasn't even aware. That might be a bug. And again, bug fixes are always on the table mid-season, right? So bugs and balance can be tricky because a balance is something that's an intended thing that we change, and like a bug would be something that's unintended. And sometimes bugs can affect balance because if an unintended bug is there, it can certainly change the meta and stuff. Like when we fixed Silence Whisper and stuff, right? That's fixing a bug that can change the meta. I don't know where we're at with the confidence debuff thing. I'm sorry. We need to look more into it and see if that is a bug or not. But those are my thoughts on just a few things so far. I hope that helps a little.
Yeah, I understand. So thank you. But yeah, still, this is a great balancing, I think. So better than nothing.
Yeah, it's always a tough balance for us. I think on the back end, there's a lot of nuances with timing and season one obviously coming up after AxieCon. There's a lot of reasons why we specifically released it, obviously to line up with AxieCon ending, but also we have other features that we want to get out. So basically, if we wanted to do a patch, number one, we would need to do a patch before the season started, but also let that patch stabilize for another couple weeks and see if there's any unintended consequences. Because every patch can introduce new issues or new imbalances and break certain parts of the game. And so the whole point of us wanting to have the game stabilize in a place that was reasonable was so that we can get the season out and so that we can make some bigger changes and release some other features for season 2. Because if we push the whole season out, it would season 1 wouldn't start till somewhere maybe mid or late October. Then we wouldn't. It would be much later till we can get those further changes out. So short answer is there's a lot of nuance and a lot of things that we need to account for outside of just fix this specific balance issue, fix this specific bug, and get this out at a certain time. So I hope people can kind of understand that it's not as simple as just push it out or get this out sooner. But we do obviously take into account what people say in the community and what everyone wants, and trying to satisfy all the different kind of asks and needs from different community members.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I guess that's all on my side. So I think we're going to be excited more for the season 2 because there's gonna be a lot of change. Thanks.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's up, brother? Welcome.
Well, thanks for joining me. I'm a content creator from Argentina, and I would love to ask some questions. I'm sorry for my English. It's been a long time I don't speak English, so I will try to do my best. The question I think that all the Latin community wanted to ask, and mostly I think that in my guild, we all wanted to know about what about the burn and mint SLP stats. I know that right now it isn't public, and we don't all know about it, and I would love to know if you guys could uh, give us some information about if it is going to be public, and if we all would have the opportunity to know about how much SLP is burning and how much it's being minted, like the real information, because the charts that we all know is about the breeding stats, but we don't know how much it's being burned in the game by crafting.
So we do want to release all those numbers. So with the updated systems and with in-game crafting that uses SLP, and there's a bunch of nuances around that system. But we are trying to get out the data to all the different people who put together the public charts and things like that. So yeah, that's just a matter of time. We do want to make all that public and all that available for everyone to see. So yeah, we just need to work on setting up all the APIs and everything for that.
Okay, great. And can I have another question?
Sure.
I would love to know what about the iOS and Android release of the app? And there's a lot of people that really want to play and can't play because it's not released on Apple, and we know that the test flight is not unlimited. But well, I would love to know what about that, and if you could give away more releases on test flight.
Yeah. So as with anyone, we want to get it out onto the app stores as much as you do. There are a lot of barriers and kind of nuances we have to deal with to get on the app stores. So Google Play and Apple both have their individual rules too. We talked to both of them, and there's a lot of limitations, and specifically because we are under the microscope as one of the more high profile games. They look closely, and we have to really partner with them to figure out what works. With their policies, with things they haven't even figured out yet that they're slowly working with us to determine. So we are working through that process, and all I can say is we're going as fast as we can and as hard as we can to get into the app stores. And when you do see it, though, I would say don't be surprised if there are some potential major parts of the game that we had to adjust or tweak or change or add or leave out to abide and comply with the policies to get into those app stores. So there will be some differences, I would say, that you might see with the apps once we get them onto the app stores. But yeah, we're working as hard as we can on it, and that's all we can do right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very clear. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and keep building, guys. You're doing a really great job.
Yeah, thank you. And your English is great, so
Well,
yeah.
I'm trying, and I'm a bit nervous, you know.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we tend to at some point we should talk about rock, paper, scissors. It's actually probably not a bad time right now. It's being brought up.
Cool. I did bring Trevor on.
Oh, sure, yeah, let's do it.
We allow Trevor to ask his questions, and then
Yep.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I know that we had this patch coming up, and there's some moves being changed. I was wondering if all the bugs are going to be fixed. Most of the bugs that are known are going to be fixed in this patch.
So I'll take.
I think we lost you, Vince.
Now there's definitely a good chunk of bug fixes on there. And so when I posted today that we're doing here's the balance changes, the reason I put the balance changes and only those in advance is because those are obviously very sensitive as far as the way players like interact with the marketplace and how they're going to breed and stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of anxiety as a player if you know a balance change is coming. You kind of like are hesitant to do anything because you're like, I don't want to buy something that gets nerfed or whatever. So that's why it was important. I thought we get the balance changes out like ASAP. The bug fixes are actually still work in progress, so they're still fixing them as we go, and they're going to be on that patch. So when we do the next patch, ETA, I believe next week, not only will you see the balance changes mentioned, but you'll see some, changes and improvements to like systems and stuff, nothing to do with balance. And then you'll see a bunch of bug fixes as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, Trevor. I do see that we do have some hands raised. We're gonna take a little segue and kind of go into rock paper scissors, and we'll get back to those requests to speak. So go ahead, Vince. You can start that off.
Yeah, so Phil and I have been talking a lot about rock, paper, scissors and like reading a lot of Twitter feedback as well. And one of the big things that occurred to us, and I think you guys have definitely brought this up, is there's absolutely times when one player wants to go first and the other player wants to go second. And if those two players match, there's no point in going through this whole charade, right? Because the outcome is the outcome. So that's going to definitely play a big role in this entire thing. So I can't go into the exact specifics because they're still like kind of being worked out, but we have a very solid core working plan, which is, just so you guys know, the basics is that you're going to be selecting if you want to go first or second, of course, like you do. But that's going to happen first. And that way, if you choose the opposite of your opponent, we'll just go into battle. We'll skip the whole RPS thing. The other thing is you'll have some information about the team, so you'll see what your opponent's Axies are and what your Axies are. And that way, it won't be a ton of time, but at least if you can catch some of if you kind of learn what the body parts are and stuff, that might influence your decision. So you're not, you can change if you want to go first or second. And if you guys both choose like first, then you guys would go to rock, paper, scissors. The whole thing should be massively sped up and it should be smoother. So it's not going to be this 5-second, 5-second, 5-second ties, and then you got 5 seconds to choose. It should be much quicker with the opportunity to skip the entire rock, paper, scissors if both players just sort of get what they want when they're choosing in private if they want first or second. So yeah, you guys should look forward to that. And then again, we can make more changes to that system or upgrades as we go, but at least there is something coming immediately to address this.
I think my mic went out there. Yes, that sounds amazing. Me personally, I just play rock. And as some say, let G Hills take the wheel. Um, do you guys have any questions in regards to rock paper scissors? Anybody in the audience would like to? I do see somebody said RPS leaderboard. I am losing some connection here.
Crow, that would actually be really fun.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tendo.
Oh yeah, my connection was like dropping. All right.
Yeah, I'm hearing you in and out. There's a lot of long pauses. You still there?
Okay. Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, that would be sorry. That would be a great idea. Kind of little fun mini game, right? In the future or something. We do have a question. Do we get new ruins and charms next season?
We have not. Nothing's been decided, but that definitely will be something that can happen from season to season, where new runes and charms are introduced, or existing ones are tweaked or taken out. So all of that is possible season to season.
Yeah, and I'm seeing about the canceling match thing, that's definitely being addressed. Obviously, if you are intentionally disconnecting at any point after you have any information, whether you know who your opponent is, you know what they chose, at that point it's going to be addressed. I don't know exactly the solution. I believe it's going to be taking a loss and a stamina loss as well, because yeah, we can't open ourselves up to abuse. That's no good. Obviously, there are times where players genuinely disconnect, and that's super unfortunate. But yeah, we have to be really careful because we can't get in a situation where players are intentionally disconnecting and abusing the game in any way. So yeah, that's being looked at in this next patch as well.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. How are you doing today?
Fine,
No,
guys.
how's your internet looking? Oh, Polo's up. Hey, buddy.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask because in the Latin community there is a lot of concern regarding the lending axis. Uh, is there going to be like a better explanation on the rules regarding the lending of axis? Because right now it's a little bit confusing, and even when you ask support, there is not a clear answer. So we really need some more clearance on that regard. What do you have in that matter, please?
Phil, do you have the latest update about the rules of lending and
Yeah.
loaning Axies? I know it's a hot topic.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted, but I just started talking.
Oh,
Yeah, so with lending Axies, basically, obviously, we're quite strict about people passing Axies around and potentially winning leaderboards on multiple accounts, and it's something that obviously takes away rewards from players who deserve it. And so we are quite strict about that, but we also understand that people want to try out different teams and they want to use lend their Axies to their friends and test something out, and they shouldn't be afraid to get banned for every single one of those things. So we're aware of it. We are kind of thinking through different ideas, but actually, this is something I'm looking to open up to the community too. If you have ideas on how you think we can manage that abuse vector, while also allowing people to do things that are perfectly allowable, and shouldn't be banned, then we're definitely open to hearing about it. But there's different ways to look at it, right? Like maybe certain axes have limits, and then once they hit those limits, then if you transfer it, it can't be used for leaderboard rewards, or it could get quite complex if we set those types of systems into the game. So we want to see like if there's anything simple we can do, and yeah, open to ideas from the community as well, on how to tackle it.
Thank you very much for that answer. I love that you want to involve the community, and that is a work in progress, and we are building it together. Thank you very much, guys.
No problem. Thanks for the question, and thanks for bringing that up. I'm sure it was on also many people's minds.
Some great questions.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi.
Yeah, just a suggestion for the rock paper scissors. So you can make the preference in the teams tab, so it should save a few more seconds for going first or going seconds, right? It's separate for each teams that we own. And also, I have another question. Um, does SM have any plans on making a battle simulator? So like we can craft or not craft, but make our own perfect teams for testing purposes. So I know that this will make the meta game to be solved even faster and maybe make the marketplace sales to go lower. But I'm just curious how Skymefish stands on that, because someone is definitely going to make some kind of battle simulators, right? So that they can make testings for their own builds and theory craftings. So yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, we've heard this request. We don't have any plans to build anything ourselves right now. So within our system, you'll need to breed the right axes to test them out. But obviously people are free to theory craft and do things on spreadsheets and try different things out to see what works. And but yeah, we don't have any plans right now, given the current, especially the current priorities we have around things like getting into the app stores and fixing up some of the core game.
and then so as for the rock paper scissors thing, obviously there's a lot of different directions we can go, and obviously once you commit to an idea, we have to actually go out and build it, and that building can take time. And so we had thought about that idea, some sort of like pre-selected option, or remember my preference or whatever. Thing is, we just don't know how it's going to interact when you can see your opponent's team. And because that's on the table, I think it's important to at least give players the chance to make a choice and not have it locked in case they want to undo it. So maybe you're quite certain you want to go second, and then you match someone. You're like, oh, against their team, I don't want them going first, for whatever reason. So you want to go first, and so I think we're gonna have to see how it feels this season, and with this new kind of UI in play, where you're gonna know as you're making your selection, kind of what team you're against.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree that the decisions should be made before looking at the opponent's teams. But my suggestion is that it will make some teams that we own by default will choose this going first or going second, the preferences. But it should save few more seconds. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have. Do you think that in the future that we can get presets for preferred ruins and charms with the click of a button?
Presets.
Like loadouts, I guess.
Pre-loadouts, correct? Yeah, like a loadout for
Yeah,
your particular Axie team.
Yeah. I think at some point we'll probably have that. It's not high prior right now, but I understand. It definitely would make things a lot easier. So yeah, loadouts is definitely not something we're not against, and something we probably will do. And it's definitely something we've talked about. So yeah, probably for the future.
Cool. I don't know if this is a question for you guys, or maybe it's more of like marketplace team. Timestamp on crafted ruins and charms.
What does that mean exactly?
I'm
I
assuming
think I know what it means.
like when it's the day and time that it's minted.
Yeah, you want to know how long you've owned it or whatever. That way, you know when the 7 days, or if we change it in the future, like you sort of know how long until you can mint.
Yes.
Yep, that's a good one. I'll write that down.
Yeah, that'll be more for Jeff K's team, but yeah, makes sense to us. Yeah, I think it might be the UX. I would imagine could get a bit complex if you have 10 of the same rune, and all of them you got on a different day. Now, how does it show all the 10 different dates that you can mint those 10 different runes? So the UI can get a bit messy. So they would just need to be a bit smart about how to make that elegant.
I think that'll be a great tool.
Yeah, makes sense though. I think like everyone wants to know, especially when you have something that you wanna trade. When is it ready to be traded? So totally makes sense.
Yeah. So speaking of minting in general, because now we're kind of talking about it, like we're definitely not at our final form of minting yet, right? I mean, there's nothing says that it's going to be 7 days forever, and there's also nothing that says it's going to be locked at $3 static across the board forever. And so I think that one direction that makes sense, we're not committing to it 100%, but something that makes sense to me is that there should probably be different mint prices depending on the rarity of the rune, or if it's a charm. So if you're gonna mint a rare charm, it would probably make sense that it's cheaper to do that than minting a epic rune, for example. So I think that's kind of the direction we want to go. Speaking of mint prices, by the way.
Good question. Has any consideration been given to charm upgrades similar to part upgrades?
There's some ideas that have been floated around. There's tons of different ways we could we can do upgrades for anything really. So we kind of have to look at all the different angles. But it could be that part upgrades are even connected to charm and rune upgrades in some way. We don't know yet, so TBD. But nothing is off the table.
I'm ready to dress up my little Axies. Any more questions? Feel free, feel, please feel free to raise your hand or ask a question in the chat.
Someone asked, when can we dress up our Axies? Yeah, we showed some of the accessories during AxieCon, and so Masamune has worked on some cool stuff there. That's actually mostly a lot of it's going to be probably marketplace based. So yeah, we'll have to coordinate with the marketplace team to build that out. But hopefully, we can see it in the next few months or so. But yeah, it really depends on a lot of different priorities. But yeah, I'm super excited to be able to decorate and customize and add accessories to our Axies on different parts. That'd be just being able to show off different cosmetics that you get and accessories. We're thinking likely you can get from all different sources. From winning seasons or from releasing Axies or from just direct purchase. There's going to be a lot of different ways in the long term that you can get accessories that you can put on Axies. But in the short term, it might be just one or two different sources to start.
Yeah, hey guys, it's Dealmaker here. Can you hear me?
Hi, welcome. Yes, we can,
Hey,
brother.
how's it going, Dealmaker?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the content creator program, and I just had, I guess, this idea of requesting if it's possible to play in another account that is on a lower level that we register to you guys so that we don't get banned. So for multi-accounting, the reason for that is, like for example, I want to make content involving starter axes or maybe floor axes to make content for the community. But right now I'm already at Dragon, so I don't want to risk, getting on a losing streak, making some experiments for content. So if it's possible to like submit the addresses that we use for content creation and just flag that, just wanted to make sure that I don't get banned for doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Obviously, if you're making content, we don't want to ban you for that. And so yeah, maybe it's something we can add as part of the creator program to flag. And when we do go through accounts, we'll know that a couple accounts are specifically by content creators, and so we don't flag those. So yeah, we should definitely talk to the Quest guys and see if there's a way to get all that structured into the program.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello. Can you
Hello.
hear?
Yep, we can hear
Hi.
you.
I'd like to ask, what's the team's take on sustained teams? Because I think in the past few patches, it looked like the team was trying to kill sustained builds, and I think maybe it was not by design that the team wanted sustained builds to exist. And a lot of people complain a lot about sustained builds because the games take longer to finish. So I like to understand if the sustain builds are really by design, because there are uh, healing and shield cards, and it was obvious that they should be used for that purpose as well. So do you intend to make sustain builds viable for the future, or does the team really want to kill those builds?
So you mentioned the words shouldn't exist, and at least in my mind, I don't know if anyone ever thought that sustained teams shouldn't exist. I think the main thing in my mind was that, especially around the plant, the cucumber slice, I think the strength to accessibility ratio was just so incredibly high because obviously classic, plants were very popular. And then what happens is you got this marketplace full of plants. So the accessibility is so high. So when the accessibility is so high, the floor price is so low, and the comp is so strong relative to that, I feel like that was the problem. So that was addressed pretty harshly. And a lot of people were kind of memeing like, well, there goes sustain comps, they're dead, all this stuff. And I actually thought they were dead too. And then, sure enough, pretty early in season 1, I play against a guy with Rise and Ruin, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think that's the one, right? Yeah, that should be the one. The one where you can, put the
I think we lost you there, brother.
season is kind of a chance we can take to do more tuning. And one thing I'm personally a fan of, and I know some of the guys in the Battle Council are like, bringing more utility and more tech options. And so, we've seen even since season alpha till now, the amount of tech things people have done, whether they're adding cleanser to their team, or they're using, vulnerable much more than it's ever been used, or the fragile, how that got buffed. So those are the kind of creative solutions I personally like as a gamer, is when I can sort of instead of nerf a comp directly, I think a cool solution is to say, hey, let's give more options to beat this comp by giving more tools that people can work with. And we've seen some of those, with Scarab and things like this. But I think obviously there's so much farther and many more things that can be done. And we're going to learn as a community and with game design and different things as we progress through the seasons. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to say that I personally like to use sustain builds, so please don't kill it.
I actually am glad you said that, because I think in general, regardless of what build you're running, whether it's poison, whether it's sustain, whether it's aggro, and especially in this Web3 world where we have ownership of our assets, I do think it's important that we maintain sort of a buff instead of nerf mentality, and it's something that we're pushing and we're trying to do. I think there's obvious times where nerfs have to be done, but I think it's that's why I'm definitely in favor of adding tech and utility as opposed to just nerfing stuff for sure. So yeah.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. My question is, are you guys planning or designing any kind of alert system for the marketplace so we can kind of save some axes or some cards and have like this price threshold whereas when it drop below certain price, we can have an alert or something. Is that possible?
I will make the feature request to Jeff. I mean, it sounds like it's possible. I think it just depends on where it is on the priority list and what's possible with the current priority list. But yeah, I see the kind of value if you're really trying to gun for particular Axie for a particular part, but you only want it if it drops to a certain price, or
Yeah.
you want to just keep track of it, then and you get some alert. Yeah, I can pass that on.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Hi, thank you for putting me up again. So in connection to that sustain build question earlier, so is the Blood Moon rework on the table, or is it being discussed right now in Sky Mavis? Because I think the problem with the sustain builds is that it's not fair. It feels that it's not fair that some team can win without even attacking. So like one Axie can survive just healing himself forever and ever and ever. So I think it's not really a battle when the Axie is not attacking. So yeah, it's the Bloodborne rework on discussion. Like for instance, instead of giving a direct damage to all Axies, why not just give a amplification damage so that those Axies that don't even attack will not be able to use the Bloodborne as a win condition. So they need to add some attacks on their builds. So that it's so that it looks like it's gonna be a fight, not a healing fight, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the ability to have more utility tech cards, right? And so I think if we can get to a place where you have ways to tech in against because you really don't want to lose to a poison to a sustain that and we've seen that with other comps right now. If you really don't want to lose to a shield comp, for example, like a pure reflect comp, you've got shield leech, right? It's a pretty big sacrifice because you have to give up a rune slot, and those are pretty important. But if you run shield leech, your chances obviously of beating a team that's abusing shield should go up a lot. And then silence whisper, if you really don't want to lose to poison, I think in my mind this is a big key is having those cool utility tech options to build around.
Yeah.
Okay, so it means ah, okay. So yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think there's definitely a place in a lot of card games for this type of play style. Exactly how it's implemented, I think we are still open to tweaking and seeing what those win conditions look like. But yeah, as Vince mentioned, there just needs to be the right counters and right balance across different types of decks as well. Actually, in when I used to play Pokemon cards in tournaments and all that, and I used a stall deck in Pokemon cards. If anyone remembers, the first generation, there was a Alakazam Chansey combo where you just keep moving damage around and you never attack, but you just keep taking and absorbing damage and healing. So and I found it fun to be able to run that, and wouldn't win every time, and so there just needs to be that balance where they don't kind of overpower the meta.
Okay, so it looks like Blood Moon's gonna be staying as it is. Just yeah, it's just that it's not really fun facing against those comps.
Well, this is where nothing's off the table for off season changes, right? And that's good. That's what's going to be kind of fun and exciting about off seasons, is I'm sure over the course of the next years or whatever we to call it, we're going to see so many things happen during off seasons. I'm sure we'll see reworks, we'll see new things, we'll see new types of dawn dusk. I'm sure mech at some point will make an appearance. So look for these big things to happen during the off season, and that's why doing the entire 60-day season when we're collecting data and analyzing the play and all that, that's where you'll see a reflection of all the changes needed happen at the end of the season in the off season.
Okay, thank you again. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we'll take a few more questions before we wrap it up. Hi,
Hello, can you
welcome.
hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, thank you for having me. So this is with regards to the point I heard earlier about we should have a buff mentality instead of nerfing mentality. So this question is about the energy tails, Nemo and Cottontail. So these tails give so much value, and since they're so powerful, because usually these tails are used in compositions with 5 damage cards on each Axie, an all aggro lineup. So there's 15 attack cards with 3 energy tails. And how can you buff other tail cards to have the same value that the Nemo and Cottontails provide right now? Just like to hear some plans on how to, for example, Nemo, using a Nemo can provide 60 or up to 100 damage boost because you can attack an extra hit. So does that mean you have to buff a tail card 50 points to have the same to match the Nemo value?
Yeah, so obviously it's not totally black and white. There are times where, like I said even earlier, where even with the mentality, you would have to find ways to nerf. But even that being said, I think if you look at Nemo and Cottontail, there's a lot of accessibility issues, right? Nemo is a aqua card and Cottontail is a beast card, and so if you're breeding beasts and aquas or any form of those, even down the line, those are the only two classes that can produce that. And so, if you're a bug player with a ton of bugs or a reptile with a ton of reptiles, you just can't access that extra energy, right? And so I don't know the direction we're going to take, so I don't even want to comment. But where I'm going with this is that there's certainly a lack of accessibility to energy if that was going to be the route, which is that right now only aquas and beasts get access to that extra energy. So, I don't know the direction we're going to go. There's going to be so many more people involved, and this is a game design thing. But do just consider that, as one of the solutions of many different things we can do. Because obviously there is a ton of Nemo and Cottontail use. We all see that. The data shows it. Subjectively playing it shows it. So yeah.
I think the main concern here is Nemo and Cottontail builds are killing the diversity of the aqua and compositions. That's why would you use other tails if you can use Nemo and Cotton?
Yeah.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much for having me back again here. So it's just I'm not sure if this is the team that I should ask this, but as I have the opportunity, I just would like to know if you plan to reward the level progress in Origins. I mean, I have played a lot. I'm level 25. I'm not even a sticker. I think this is a great place to gift stickers and maybe skins for the Axis or cosmetic or something like that. What is your plan in that matter? What do you think?
I think everything is open. We can do a lot of different things with rewards, and we've really only just begun. We give out the stickers and some of those cosmetics for season rankings right now, but yeah, I don't see why we couldn't give out rewards for all different types of things in the game, especially things like cosmetics and things that won't necessarily change the balance as much are much more straightforward as things we can reward so people can show off to express themselves and do all of that fun stuff. So yeah, duly noted, and definitely something we could consider for the future.
Thanks again, guys.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll do one more question. And if we did not get to you, please do post your question in the stage text for us. And if we can, we'll get to it today, or somebody from one of the respective teams will try to answer that for you.
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
All right. So my question would be um regarding the number of players that will be and would be enticed to join season 1. So one of the main concerns in the previous origins is that it's not it's not really giving an opportunity for new players to really learn the game. And also, it's the feedback that I got from my scholars previously is that it's somehow too repetitive, and it seems like there's nothing new, even though it's a new game. So yeah, is there something new, or is there something that we can add up into the game that it will not really feel that repetitive, or um like, yeah, something similar to that?
Yeah, I think in terms of the an important part of a game is progression and obviously variety, and especially people who play competitive card games or just competitive games in general. It's that different challenge you get every round that you get, and if you are always using the same strategies or always facing similar enemies or opponents, then it gets stale, right? And so I think definitely there's room to improve in terms of making sure that people can feel that progression and experience more variety as they onboard, as they get into the game. I think a lot of that people learn on their own, and once they get that right now, they really get it, and that's why a lot of our players enjoy moving up the leaderboard and try different comps throughout a season. As the season moves forward, different runes and charms get unlocked, and then you use different comps for that. And so we definitely, as I mentioned, onboarding and accessibility is a big priority for us, especially after as the core game stabilizes more. And part of that is that progression and making sure that people feel that they can improve and try different things out, and be able to progress as they play the game over each season. So yeah, definitely something we'll work on.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Well, I think we can wrap it up there. Again, if you have any questions that we didn't get to today, do feel free to post it in the Sage text, and we will try to get back to you, or one of the members of the respective teams will try to answer the questions for you. But that will be the conclusion of our season 1 town hall. We appreciate every single one of you guys for joining us either this morning, afternoon, or evening, and taking this journey with us as we continue to build, and hopefully giving you guys a fun experience to participate and play with so many people around the world. Philip or Vince, do you guys have any closing statement?
Yeah, I think to close off, this is season 1. Have fun with it, but it's literally season 1. So the first season, and just the start of many seasons to come. And especially as we improve our processes, a lot of this will get ironed out much quicker each season. And something I've mentioned before is we want to have a public test server, ideally, that we can put changes on and new features on and balancing to, and people can really test out and stress test before we put it on the main server for a full season. So that's something that we're kind of working towards, and also just ironing out how we do community feedback and making sure that we continue to take in everything and be able to condense that into things that we can digest and we can apply to our game designs. So yeah, keep the feedback coming. We appreciate it, and understand that things aren't perfect right now, and that's just a function of us building in public and building new features and new parts of the game still. But all the feedback is super helpful, so I appreciate it from everyone.
Yeah, just to like amplify what Phil says, as a gamer myself, it's really easy to be like overcome with excitement, with kind of this goes hand in hand with impatience. It's like, we want the game to be perfect now, to be balanced now. There's so many things we could do. I feel it all the time. I play a lot of Origins, and it's like I lose a game, and I'm like, all right, well, this thing is too imbalanced. It's just like that's how we are, and so it's gonna take some time to get everything right, and so, but we will get there for sure. We've definitely got some exciting stuff coming, obviously. Um, I'm really excited about contests that I mentioned, coming, sometime in the next couple months here, it looks like. And yeah, we even have a little tiny surprise edition you guys will see in this next patch. Something just kind of cool that adds to the game a little bit. So be ready for this next patch. Obviously, you guys are already aware of the balance changes. We're gonna get a lot of bug fixes and a rock paper scissors change, and then yeah, a little surprise in there too. So
Cool, exciting. I think we're all gonna be looking forward to seeing this new patch rollout. Again, thank you all for joining us. You guys have a great day or a great night. Stay safe out there, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in Lunacia. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
take care, guys.